Hi everyone. So on Monday, Courtney Carver, the inspiring woman behind Project 333 and Be More with Less, joined me for a live Q&A where she answered some of your questions. You can watch the full 48-minute video here if you'd like, or this is an edited down version. Let's jump right in.
Welcome, everyone. And Courtney, maybe while people are jumping in and getting settled, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and why you decided to simplify your life and your wardrobe?
Sure. Well, welcome everyone. I'm really glad you're here. And Erin, thank you for having me. You and I have become great friends, even though we have never seen each other in person, but I'm glad to be here today. I started simplifying my life actually back in 2006. Project 333 didn't come along until 2010. But really my why or my aim for simplifying my life was health related. I was diagnosed with MS in 2006, and that was a wake up call that I really could not ignore. And I had had many other wake up calls in my life, but I was so busy that I didn't have time to pay attention to them. But this one really got my attention. So I started researching, what exacerbates MS? How do people live well with MS? And in all the research that I did, it kept coming back to stress as the main cause for decline in your health with that. And I mean, most every disease, if you really think about it. And even the little things, like we think about, I have a headache or I don't feel well. This is my body's way of telling me to slow down. And I know I had said that for a long time. And I finally started asking myself, why do I have to wait for those signals to slow down? And began to eliminate the stress in my life, starting with diet and then stuff and debt. And during that stuff period of time is when I launched Project 333, because there was just so much stuff in my closet. And even though I didn't really think of my clothes and my shopping habits as a source of stress, that's exactly what they were.
It seems like stress is kind of a huge motivator for a lot of people, like in general, in having too much stuff and also feeling the need to constantly buy more things.
You're exactly right. Like we shop because we want to feel better and we want the relief from our stressful lives, but that consumption and constant adding to our lives, whether it's clothes or other things, is just adding so much stress and discontent in my experience.
So we have some really good questions, and I'm really sorry if I mispronounced anyone's name. Myra Montero says, "I love the concept, but I can't justify the amount of clothes I should get rid of. Didn't you feel guilty at first?"
Guilt is such a big part of this. And whenever a question related to guilt comes up, I'm reminded that this project really has so little to do with clothing, but how we relate to stuff. When I think about the guilt that I had in having clothes in my closet that still had tags on them, or clothes that literally did not fit me, but I was keeping just in case, that guilt was weighing on me every day. And when I finally decided to let go, and again, I didn't let go of everything overnight, but when I finally decided to let go, I let that guilt go with it. I figured that I had paid enough already. I paid for the clothes. I paid to insure the clothes in my home. I paid with attention. I paid with time, and I paid with guilt and other emotions. So when I let those clothes go, the guilt did go with them, and I feel much lighter and happier because of it. So
Hema Patel says, "Once you realized that over shopping was linked to emotion, did it take you a long time to break the habit?"
it didn't, and only because of the fashion challenge. Normally, that would have been something that, and let me back up. Of course, it took me a long time to figure it out, but once it clicked for me that, hey, this shopping business is not adding joy to my life, and then I decided not to buy for 3 months, for Project 333. It was sort of this combined effort, I guess. And so I wasn't worse off by not shopping. I was actually happier. And that motivated me to break the cycle. And it was pretty immediate once I recognized and kind of put those pieces together. That doesn't mean I still don't want things, that things don't appeal to me, that I don't walk by a store window and think, that's gorgeous, but I know that I can appreciate it in a different way, that I don't have to bring it home to appreciate it. Because whenever I did that, it would only be a matter of days before it was just another thing hanging in the closet or another thing in the kitchen cabinet. I really am, I think, much more thoughtful now about what I do bring into the house.
So Rebecca Farah says, I live a very simplified life and often get feedback that once I grow up or am through this phase. Do you find that people make comments along those lines?
I don't get a lot of that because I think, at least for the people that really know me, they know that this is a life path for me. Because simplicity for me is not the end goal. It's just part of it. It's just the thing that helps me really enjoy my life and really connect to the people that I care about. So when I talk about it in those terms with people, I think that they start to see, it's not just about how many items can I remove from my house or how many items are hanging in my closet or how simple can I be. It's really about the way that we want to live our lives. So I would just recommend, if that's frustrating for you, not to try to explain yourself. You're welcome to, of course, but I think just demonstrating the power of your simple life is more effective than really trying to prove to people that you're serious or you mean this or this is going to happen for a long time.
Jane Roxley says, when traveling, how do you decide what to pack while having a capsule?
One of the best things or the greatest benefits of dressing with less is traveling, because you have less to choose from. I mean, I could honestly probably pack my entire wardrobe in a carry-on if I wanted to bring the whole thing with me. But instead, I really think of it as like a micro capsule when I travel. So if I'm traveling for a week, I will usually pack for half that time or less. And I just am pulling from the same items, unless it's, winter and I'm taking a trip to Mexico. That's not happening this year, but it has before. And then I might pull from a different capsule collection. So I have seasonally appropriate clothes. But knowing in my day-to-day life that I'm so much happier dressing with less, I've experimented in travel and traveling with less and found that I can really enjoy the people that I meet and the cities that I see more when I'm not worried about, did I bring the right things? Do I have all the things? In my experience, we overpack. I know I used to. I remember a trip that I took and it was to Mexico actually. I brought 5 pair of shoes and I wore flip-flops for the entire trip. So that was a real lesson to me that I'm probably fine with 1 or 2 pair of shoes. If you can eliminate those what ifs, like what if this happens when I'm traveling and I'm going to need this, if you just put those aside, I think we find that most of our what ifs never happen. And if they do, we could buy something when we were on our trip. Like, I don't know what that circumstance is, but it's not completely out of the question that you could fulfill your need while you were traveling.
So Deborah Baker says, do you have any advice for those with capsule wardrobes but are in a weight loss journey? How would you handle the need of smaller sizes as the journey progresses?
Well, I would buy clothes that fit when you need to. But I think that clothing sizes aren't very exact. So I think that you can lose 10 pounds and be in the same clothing size depending on what it is that you're wearing. And maybe depending on how much weight you're losing, maybe you want to buy clothes that are more forgiving so that it can get you through a couple of sizes before you need to purchase something new and more form-fitting, for instance. I think there are dresses out there and shirts and sweaters and things that you can wear for 1 or 2 or even more sizes, and just really understand what your goal is and your end game in terms of weight loss, and use that to negotiate what you're going to buy. And if you're sort of on the fast track and you're losing quickly, it may be that you just want to buy 1 or 2 items for a period of time to get you through. But I don't think you need a completely new wardrobe for every size that you hit.
So Annalisa says, what do you advise for people who work in a corporate environment and like to have a laid back style in their free time?
So that was me actually when I worked in advertising sales and when I first started this. And so all I did to begin is sort of dress down my corporate wear just a bit and dress up my lounge at home, not lounge wear, but my out of work wear just a bit so that they could meet each other. And so I think I was a little more put together outside of work. And the level that I brought it down at work wasn't noticeable. So maybe instead of wearing a suit, I was wearing a more tailored pair of pants and a button-down shirt. I think it's really just finding that balance so that clothes can work in both arenas. I know that's not possible for everybody. Some people actually have uniforms that they need to wear. And in those circumstances, I say count the uniforms as one item in your 33. So again, kind of looking at ways to modify and move those excuses aside so you get a chance to really see what's up. Because again, we make all of these assumptions. We're going to be bored. We're not going to have enough. We're going to have to buy it all back, but just see for yourself.
Kalia Goodman wants to know, do you focus on purchasing sustainable or ethical clothing, or is limiting clothing and you're buying enough for you?
Something that is continually on my radar and something that I think about more and more and have made purchases based on more and more. But in the very beginning, I felt like just limiting my footprint was making a big difference, not only in my life, but environmentally as well. So I do like to support local shops and also sustainable fashion designers, both through Kickstarter and other purchases when I can. But it hasn't been the focus of Project 333.
Mm-hmm. But it's definitely a great side benefit. The sustainability and just simplifying go together perfectly.
They do. And you make space to be aware of it and to be more thoughtful about your purchases, where before it was just, fast and furious for me. So now I can be more thoughtful about it.
Okido says, is your style still evolving, or are you very comfortable with your own look? How does someone still finding a personal style work with a capsule?
That's a great question. I am sure that my style is still evolving because I'm still evolving. My lifestyle is still evolving, and I hope that never changes. But in the same regard, I'm very comfortable in what I wear. And I stopped putting so much pressure on my clothes to perform certain tasks or make me feel a certain way. Like if I wear these heels, I will sell this advertising deal. I would do things like put heels in the car and wear them into a meeting because I thought they made me look powerful. Or, maybe I thought a shirt made me look beautiful. Or I don't know. I put all kinds of emotions into my clothes and expected them to make me feel a certain way. And I finally discovered that until I really felt that way, whatever way it was that I wanted to feel, nothing I purchased would ever do that for me. So I hope that answered the question.
So Laura Campbell says, did you find it surprising the amount of time that was available to you once you downsized? What did you decide to do with it?
I did find it surprising, and it happened almost immediately. And then it also happened slowly. So for instance, when I started dressing with 33 items or less, I noticed immediately that I had, probably 20 more minutes in the morning because I wasn't trying on multiple outfits or thinking about what I was going to wear or, rummaging through clothes. It's a pretty easy thing. My husband was really surprised because when we would get ready to go out, I'd actually be ready on time or even a few minutes before, which was not like me at all. And so in the mornings, I started a morning routine. So at first it was only 5 or 10 minutes long, but the more time that became available to me, the longer that routine became. And so, like I said, in the beginning, it was 5 minutes of meditation. Now it's 3 hours of meditation, working out, writing, reading, really fueling my heart and soul before I am fueling my world. And I feel like by doing that, I'm much better able to serve other people by serving myself first. Where prior it was just, wake up, have coffee, get dressed, find something to wear, try on 2 or 3 different outfits, and rush out the door late for work. But as my life has changed and gotten simpler and simpler, I left my corporate job in 2011, so that freed up even more time. And now I can take even better care of myself and the people that I love, and do work that I really care about and that excites me every day.
That's so awesome. And before we get going, I'd like to ask you quickly, because you have another project going on called A Simple Year. Do you have other things that people can get involved with or learn more?
Sure. So first of all, let me say thank you for inviting me, and thanks for everyone for coming out and asking awesome questions. This is something that I love talking about. So thank you for taking the time. And like you mentioned, A Simple Year is a course that I do with some of my simplicity advocate and author friends, where we each host a month on a different topic of simplicity. So for instance, this month we're talking all about clutter, next month busyness, and then we cover all kinds of topics: food, cooking, digital, relationships. So you can learn more about that at simpleyear.co. And then really everything else that you're curious about, you can find on my website, bemorewithless.com.
Thank you so much to everyone who joined in the chat, and to you, Courtney. This was so awesome.
So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Thanks again to everyone who participated and for asking such great questions. And a huge thank you to Courtney for joining me and for being such an inspiration. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.